Hello, greetings. See me at FanimeCon, tomorrow, the 24th, through Monday. I'll be at Fanime, and I'll be there. Yes, I've just watched the Patrick Stewart Star Trek Picard teaser trailer. It'll be on All Access and Amazon. And yes, I'm putting on a Picard accent because it's funny. It apparently takes place after Starship Chimera. So they're doing a TNG era Star Trek. So we'll have more details later. But so we've seen some reviews of the uniforms, very similar to the rejected Chimera uniforms, which were supposed to look like the game Star Trek Online. So very similar to those. Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like our uniforms in Chimera in the fan film look more like the future imperfect Star Trek, the various futures of the 2390s as they were seen 20 years earlier in TNG. These uniforms are a little after that. Yes, so you get a glimpse of what it would be like 11 years later than Starship Chimera. Starship Chimera takes place in 2388. So this is 2399, 11 years later. And who knows what's going on then? Maybe Locarno will be an admiral. Who knows? but yes, 11 years later. Yes, production will resume on Starship Chimera. There will be other things and announcements and such right after during convention afterward. We also have a hilarious stuff that's coming out. That's going to be a Cal Cat Silly Kelly movie filmed at the convention. So yes, check it out. FanimeCon, 24th through the 28th, 27th at come and see it. It's exciting. Mark's Cards will not be there, I don't think. But I will have a cameo by him later on here in the studio. So yeah, yes, cool. Well, okay. I should probably point out that I watched the trailer. It mirrors All Good Things, which was the final episode of TNG, and that it mentions this greatest rescue armada in history. It must have been Romulus exploding in 2387, and that would be less than 20 years later. But they're saying 20 years after Next Generation, so they're sort of that would be the then Nemesis, which was in 2379, 20 years ago as of, if it was 2399. As you know, being Trek fan Trekkies, we know the current star year is 23, it's the end of 23 of 95. It's the 31st year of TNG, the end of 2395. And we are going into the show hiatus between May and June. We're getting the season finale already aired. So so in terms of the game, that will be discussed later. But so and Chimera the movie takes place in 2388. Because that's when it was set. It was done in 2011. The script was finished in 2006, but then moved up to 2011 when we started production. So that's what it relates to, is several years ago. I know that it's now 2395 in Star Trek lore, so okay. So whatever they're doing after that, you get to see that in the Starship Locations books available on Amazon. You get to see all the way up to last year. We didn't do anything this season, so there isn't anything this season. But at the end of last season, there was some stuff last summer. So during the hiatus, that's 3 months of the summer where they don't do any shows. But we did. We were Fanime and everything. So you can check those out on Amazon. They're under the title Starship Locations, Cillian Collective, and various other versions of that. So yeah, check that out. And I recently had to re-upload some of those because they had typos didn't catch. Yeah, well, so that was our bad. Yeah. Didn't catch them. The Starcrackers, the Space Vanguards happened the same way, and we found some typos, so we had to fix them today. So we got some other story typos that had to be fixed. Looks like the other stories are fine, but yeah. So also look for the Fanime and FanimeCon in San Jose, and the convention center, and yeah, there will be a special berry guest. From the planet Iliop, who will be on hand. Yes, planet Iliop. So we'll see about what that is about. Oh yes. We will see. So yeah, so cool. We'll get Mark's cards on the horn in the next panel when he shows up. Just to get his okay on the convention. I'm sure he'll say yes. But I'm not sure if he's coming. Don't think he's coming to the convention. And yeah, Chimera, Starship Chimera. Yeah, the game was held back to write the stories, but then we didn't have any people. It was difficult to keep people interested when we didn't have any delivery. Now that their stories are out. You kept saying for close to 2 years, oh, we have the story thing, the idea. And it's like we didn't have any goods to deliver to them. So they were like, where's the game? Where is it? Where is it? Even though it does take literally years to put something like that together, it's not like it's instantaneous. Story writing is never instantaneous. It is, yeah, it's often confused in writing circles. Some of these older writers, I was like, oh, it's taking a long time to get my book together and whatever. But yeah, I'm very prolific, so don't worry, it's coming. Oh yeah, did you see that Picard series trailer?
I did.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. So they're leaning into the whole whatever the mystery box is. I'm not counting this as a spoiler because it's just in the teaser. But yeah, so we see Picard and he's kind of like worn down and he's living on a vineyard, and they made him look. Well, I guess Patrick Stewart is got to be...
He's got to be 80 by now.
Pushing 80, so yeah, maybe they just didn't put any makeup on him or something. So he looks a lot older, and then the voiceover is referencing something mysterious that happened 15 years prior to the series. So after Nemesis, some event of some kind, it's just like, you led us from the darkness and something awesome. But then the unthinkable, and we're probably not going to reveal that until either the end of the first episode or it'll be like an overarching mystery for the... but yeah, it's interesting to see where that character ends up.
Yeah.
At least according to this particular series.
Well, our fan film Chimera takes place in 2388 because that's when it sort of lined up with 2011 when we started filming it. So, but now and I guess this new show is about 11 years later because it would be 20. They said it was 15 years after the event that happened would be 2387, just before our movie. So maybe our movie is actually...
Maybe that's what they're referring to.
Yeah, the event that wrecked the universe is actually...
the universe and it
is actually our story, not the supernova and Romulus, but rather they had to help out us. Cause
so that's why he quit Starfleet, because he saw our movie and he was just like, oh shit.
Yes, 11 years ago, this ruined my career. Well, 11 years ago to us, but if they're saying it's 20 years after Nemesis... That would be 2379 was Nemesis. That would be 2399. So it'd be 6 years from now, which is 2396. So that's convoluted, but yeah. And the although it could be that supernova that happened in Star Trek, the reboot, and Romulus blowing up and all that. Could be that.
Maybe my guess is it'll be some new thing that
they should come up with something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be our story. But I mean,
if they follow the classic Trek. Archetypal storyline. What my guess is going to be that Picard was going to do some awesome diplomatic thing to save the universe, but in the midst of doing so, because of some awesome action scene, he was required to sacrifice his fiancée that we didn't know about because it happened after Nemesis.
Yeah, there should be a fiancée.
She was on the ship, but he had to sacrifice the ship to save everyone else, and so he blew up the love of his life, and
that'd be cool, yeah.
And so that's why he got all embittered and quit Starfleet.
That's our guess.
That's my guess, because they have this long history of killing off love interests on Star Trek.
And she should have been a space bunny.
Maybe she was.
Maybe she was. I don't know.
But yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's a nicely done trailer. I like the slow reveal of the box of wine that has the Picard family estate on it. So it looks like they're doing some interesting stuff with it. I'm excited.
There's a lady director this time for this movie.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, something might be interesting. Yeah. So, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm stoked about it. More so than like Discovery. It's a nice show. I like it, but it didn't really ever grab me. It was
first season's a little clunky, but then again, the first season of all those shows was a little clunky.
Actually, the first season of Next Gen is kind of hard to go back to.
It's kind of a mess.
Bad episodes in there.
31 years ago, can you believe it? Oh, it was 2366. That would put us in 2396 now.
Yeah,
we're approaching 2396.
Talk about time marching on and getting older.
And Picard was actually my age when he was doing season 1 of Next Gen, which is weird. And season 2.
Because he always looked sort of older.
47 and then now 48.
Yeah. But he was... Like, some actors just always looked kind of old and you know, stoic. Like, look at Wilford Brimley. He probably had that mustache when he was in grade school.
Yeah, that was weird. That guy looked old even when we were in, like, high school when Star Trek was on.
Yeah, and they were casting him as, like, this grandpa type.
We were, like,
he really wasn't that old back when he did, like, Cocoon. And
he was maybe 40?
Mid-40s probably. And then there's like Estelle Getty. She was actually the youngest one
on the
Golden Girls, but she looked like ancient, so they cast her as like a 100-year-old like horn dog lady, but which is
she wasn't the horniest one though.
No,
Blanche
actually,
was the horny one.
Blanche was the
horny Texas one.
Belle. Yeah, which was kind of brave of them to even tackle that back in the day. But yeah, be that as it may. So yeah, on the Star Trek front, it looks like there's the Picard series, and then isn't there still an animated one that's supposed to be in the works?
Lower Decks, the animated one. It's more like Chimera.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice that they're keeping that torch going and that they're still doing stuff.
It's not us though. It should be us, right? But it's not us.
But what's interesting is I don't know what's happening with the main Abrams-verse movie series, because after the third movie, it just seems like all momentum stopped, and there's no talk particularly of a fourth one. There briefly was, but then Helmsworth didn't want to do it, and
yeah, it's odd. They should ask us.
So, but I'm thinking
I don't know how we'd fix it though.
More that like the third movie didn't do as well at the box office as they were hoping, which I consider kind of a shame, because of the 3 Abrams movies, it's my favorite one. It's not an Abrams movie. It was Justin Lin directed it, but
Abrams produced.
But it's set in that universe. Yeah. But I think it's a better take on the characters and the world than what Abrams did. Abrams is a very good action director, but I don't feel like he ever
Star Wars better
really got Star Trek. So it kind of felt like the movies were finding their groove, and then it only made like $1 billion and not 1.5 or whatever they wanted. So they, just all momentum seemed to have stopped. It wasn't a perfect movie. I kind of felt like the villain was pretty weak
a little
sauce.
Rushed toward the end. I'll change my mind or something. Or
he just didn't make any
evil
sense.
Weapon or
Yeah, and honestly, it's Star Trek, and his character was perfect for a redemption arc.
Yeah, he should have just decided,
him by convincing him not to kill the station, and so he like absorbs the weapon into himself and jettisons himself into space to die. Like that last little vestige of humanity in him, and instead they were just like, no, he's really badass, and then Kirk has to kill him. It's like,
no, they could totally do the redemption thing.
Yeah, they should have, and they would have in like the classic Next Gen show. But so again, I kind of feel like the Abrams verse never really felt exactly like Star Trek. So what we're doing is we're trying to do more of a something that's truer to the fun and spirit of what classic Trek was always all about.
And I found that cool table down there that we can use for part of the Q set.
Cool.
That I sent you a picture of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's we can light the bottom of it underneath and everything. And the guy at the church is like, yeah, if you put lights under this and like a black light and stuff, it'll look really cool.
Actually,
it'll look like the Continuum or something.
Yeah, because we always thought if we're going to show the Continuum,
a little bit, yeah, we're going to do that.
We're on a budget here, but the idea
different things going on, yeah.
It's not a cornfield.
It's going to be weird and trippy and ethereal, and it's going to be like
you got to deliver the goods.
It's going to be people floating around.
Yeah, the idea being that the Continuum is like this most mind-bending nexus of time and space and interdimensionality. Making it a cornfield which they
Well,
did
which
on
was
Next Gen,
dumb.
to me
Well, it was
felt like
Voyager, yeah.
we can't afford the effects. So kind of like the He-Man movie in the 80s. What if we didn't set the story on this awesome mystical land of sword
they
and sorcery?
totally could have made.
What if we went down the street to the gymnasium in L.A. and just filmed half of the movie there? So I think that's what they did on Star Trek too.
On Voyager, yeah. So yeah, Voyager. Yeah, so there's so, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so I will not be attending the con
Fanime
this year. Just not in the cards.
Mark's cards.
But Kat's gonna do it. And,
not an intended pun, but it should be. Not in Mark's cards.
Yeah. 'Cause he cheats.
Cheese. And
Cheats
yes,
at
and
cards.
apparently Teddy Ruxpin will be in attendance.
Nice.
Nice.
So yeah,
Because Silly Kelly, he came in here and so I want to do the Teddy Ruxpin thing, and I said, you know what? Let's do that instead of the Blair Witch thing.
actually,
That'd be fun. Or maybe it'll end up being both.
you know, Teddy Ruxpin always had like an element of just a little bit spooky to him. That's
Exactly.
where the Child's Play
Maybe
series
that's
was
part of
making
it.
fun
Yeah.
So hey,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the
Teddy
highlights
Ruxpin's
myself.
adventure in Conland over there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the new Star Trek's good, and looks like we may yet prevail in having some sort of maybe by a trailer or something.
I'm really
some
optimistic
point.
if we can what we
before
need to do,
September, hopefully.
we need to knuckle under and just get a weekend set up where we can just power through. There's really not that much left to film.
There really isn't.
Yeah, it's just getting the scheduling lined up. The primary problem is my work schedule requires me to be rolling out of bed at about 4 in the morning anymore. So
Yeah.
I just can't stay out late like I used to be able to.
Sounds like Comic-Con or something.
But yeah,
Comic-Con's not.
But yeah, we're going to make this an action item. If it doesn't happen this year, then something will have gone horribly wrong. Put it that way.
And then we'll have to make it a Valentine to the fans in February of 2020 for the 25th anniversary of Voyager. But hopefully not. Hopefully it's out way before then.
We really should have.
And that our
principal
Valentine to the
photography done.
fans is merely, well, this is a pilot and we've greenlit the series. That would be an awesome Valentine to the fans.
Yeah. Although at the rate we're going, if we were going to do a series, we'll be dead of old age by the time we make 30 of these. But,
No, there wouldn't be a series, but
yeah.
no.
But the
sequel.
movie itself, really, we're going to knuckle under and try to make it happen sooner rather than later. But,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
So up on the channels, and so you want to see the table thing and all that.
yeah.
I've also got